And before we even start, if you have a pen, I'm going to ask the chiefs to spell their names, so at least you have it correct. So the Millis chief is with me, Chris Safaya. So Chris, will you spell your name?
My last name's Soffayer.
And your first name is Chris?
Chris.
And the Needham chief is John Schlittler. And now, if you can spell that, it's common spelling.
John, John, Schlittler, Schlittler.
And also in Kevin Shea, Shea. I can spell that. Is the detective lieutenant in state police. Are you all ready?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all for coming here to the Needham Police Department. I'm Michael Morrissey, the Norfolk District Attorney. I've introduced Chris Safaya, the Chief from Millis, Kevin Shea, State Police, and John Schlittler, the Chief here in Needham. And as many of you know, because you've been busy the last 2 days, it's been a difficult couple days in Norfolk County with motor vehicle homicides and the current homicide investigation here in Needham, and no more so in the town of Needham, which resources have been sorely tested over the last 24 hours with two serious tragic events in town. But we're here today to talk about the ongoing investigation and the arrest in Millis that occurred last night. A little after 7 p.m., the Millis police received a call regarding a disturbance at the Primavera restaurant. When the police arrived, they found two individuals needing medical attention from stab wounds. They were informed by family members who were at a function at the restaurant that Benjamin Walsh, age 24, had stabbed the two individuals. And the police had indicated that family members had subdued Mr. Walsh by the time that they arrived, and then they took him into custody. Shortly after that period of time, the police learned and gained information that it was necessary to do a well-being check at the defendant's apartment, 64 Marshall Street in Needham, where he lived with his girlfriend. The Needham police were contacted, and they gained entry to the third-floor apartment and discovered the 20-year-old deceased body of the defendant's girlfriend. Mr. Walsh is currently being held on charges related to the Millis incident, and we anticipate further charges as a result of the ongoing investigation here in Needham will be brought. At this time, that's really all we have to say, because it is an active, open investigation, and I would like to thank in particular the detectives in Millis here in Needham who are working with state police and crime scene services who have had an awful lot of work to do over the last 12 hours. And we will take some questions from anybody who has a question. And we'll start to the right and work to the left.
In that attack in Millis, did this happen in the area where other people were eating? And is there any surveillance video of this? How does this happen?
Okay, all I will say is that it happened within an area of the restaurant, and it appears that the Walsh family members were having a function at the restaurant. So that's all I'm prepared to say about. As you can imagine, we're gathering evidence, and if there is surveillance, video surveillance, I'm sure that the police will look for it.
He then showed up to that function? He wasn't there when it started?
I don't know the exact time in relation to. He clearly appeared at the Primavera restaurant where the Walsh family was having a function.
That's his family?
That's his family.
What's his relation to the two victims?
His parents.
Do you know anything about what the altercation was that led him to?
At this time, I'm not prepared to discuss the nature of the altercation or any of the motives that may have participated in the event of the attack.
How are his parents doing?
The mother still remains, I believe, in serious condition in a Boston hospital, and the father is doing much, much better.
Do we have ages on them?
In their early 50s.
Where's Mr. Walsh now?
He's currently in the custody of the Millis police.
Did he have to go to the hospital for anything?
He did go to the hospital, and that's all I have to say in that matter.
How was the woman killed in Needham?
That it is apparent that she's the victim of stab wounds. But again, the medical examiner will have to make a determination. But I think it was clear to the Needham police at the time they arrived that she had passed away.
Is your belief that he took the knife from Needham and then went directly to Millis without going anywhere else first?
Well, again, that the Millis Police gained information that caused a well-being check, so a timeline, I think, speaks for itself as to what may have happened.
Have you recovered the weapon?
I will indicate to you that we have recovered a knife that is of interest to us, and that's all I really have to say on that.
Any history of violence with Mr. Walsh previously?
I can let the chiefs speak briefly. First of all, I know that Chief Sapphire knows the family. He's a lifelong Millis resident. And Chief, have you ever had any involvement with the family?
We have not. The family's been lifelong residents of the town of Millis, and they've been held in high regard throughout the community.
And John, as far as I understand that Mr. Walsh and his girlfriend were newer residents as far as a short period of time. Do you have any problems at the?
Yes, they've been here for a short period of time, and we have not had any previous interactions with them.
Are you releasing the name of the girlfriend?
Not at this time. And in fairness to the fact that we really haven't had an opportunity even to meet with the victim's family, I anticipate that information will be made available to you in a short period of time. But in deference to all involved, in fairness to the family, we need a little more time.
Would you release the names of the parents?
Well, you know, it's Walsh, and they live in Millis, and I guess I would tell you, I refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. Walsh because I don't have their first names, but I'm sure we can get that at some point.
How many stab wounds did they suffer?
I will not comment on that.
How many people were gathering last night?
Don't know.
Can you say what the name?
We suggest this, the police obviously are going through, and as part of their ongoing investigation, will have interviewed any and all witnesses that they can identify, so I will not comment as far as how large the gathering, because I specifically do not know, but I will tell you the police in Millis and state police detectives who were working in Millis last night have done a pretty good job, and the investigation continues.
Is there any history of mental illness with Mr. Walsh?
Again, that's would be part of any kind of an ongoing investigation. We take a look at that, but I'm not prepared to make any comment on that at this time.
Do we think that the female, the 20-year-old girl, was she killed yesterday? What do you think? Was she been in that apartment for?
Again, that's why we have the investigation. I can't give a timeline. That I have to defer to the medical examiner to give me an approximate time of death and obviously the cause of death, and that will be done during the autopsy period. So the medical examiner has taken control of the body at this time.
Does anyone else live in the apartment with?
Wait 1 second. Again, motive is, again, something you may hear more about it at the time of arraignment. We anticipate there'll probably be 2 arraignments because you're really talking 2 district courts. Millis is within the jurisdiction of the Rentham District Court. We anticipate that will probably occur tomorrow, but we'll put a press advisory out to you on that. And again, while I anticipate the Needham event is being investigated as a homicide, and we do anticipate further charges as to the exact timeline is unknown to us at this time, but that would be within the jurisdiction of the Dedham District Court.
And what charges is he facing right now?
Well, there's multiple charges relating to the stabbing incident out of the Millis event, and depending upon, obviously, there's 2 victims, so there's a variety of charges. I'll just leave it at that. And then, obviously, we're investigating this as a homicide, so that's clearly a potential charge that we anticipate. But as to time frame, I'm really at the mercy of the pace of the investigation.
Safe to say attempted murder and attempted murder?
Again, those would all be probably Millis versus Needham, the 2 different problems, but a lot of that is contingent upon the charges we have and a determination by the clerk as to the charges that will be allowed in this case. So all we can tell you is that multiple charges on the father and the mother, and obviously the mother is more seriously injured than the father.
Do you know if he showed up to this event and then stabbed him, or was he attending this event already?
I don't know whether he had been an invited guest or whether he was an uninvited guest, but I do know that it was family members that I believe may have been there for a family gathering, a birthday, or some other type of function. So I don't know whether, what his status was, and I wouldn't comment on it even if I did, to be honest with you.
Just to clarify, what was the timeline after his arrest that Needham police were notified they should do a well-being check at his apartment?
Very, very shortly after. There's evidence that was gathered by the village police and also the Needham police that led them both to come to the conclusion it was necessary to do a well-being check as soon as they gained information regarding the apartment. And they both cooperated fully with each other, and they went down there right away.
You mentioned he was subdued at the restaurant. Can you describe that a little bit more?
I'm told a number of family members were able to subdue him, tie him up after the initial stabbing. As to what they did or how they did it, again, I don't have the full specifics on that, other than when the police arrived, family members had him pretty well tied up, and they turned him over to the police immediately.
Like with tablecloths or?
Don't know. We'll suffice it to say that I think everyone was appreciative that family members did step up, and the police obviously got there and put him in custody as quick as they could.
Can you, and this has nothing to do with the fatal car crash, right?
No.
Can we talk about that just briefly on the?
Well, I would just indicate that we tried to keep you up to date as soon as we could give information to many of you last night with the amount of events that we had. And I'm told that one of the news outlets may have confused the car accident, tragic car accident here by the high school, as being somehow related to the homicide investigation on Marshall Street. And that's just not the case. That's a separate, distinct accident. And the only relationship is the Miller stabbing incident is related to the ongoing homicide investigation that's occurring here on Marshall Street in town.
Needham, Chief, would you mind talking about the car crash?
Sure. Approximately around 6:30, officers responded to a motor vehicle accident versus pedestrian. As a response, the Needham Police, Massachusetts State Police Accident Reconstruction, and the Norfolk District Attorney's Office are investigating this matter. There was 2 females that were injured. Talia Newfield, age 16 years old, was transferred to BI Needham, where she was pronounced dead. Want to make it known our thoughts and prayers go out to the Newfield family, friends, and the other victims that are involved in both incidents. The second party was transferred into BI Boston, where she remains in critical condition. We are currently working with Needham High School staff and our mental health professionals to have grief counselors at the high school today. And we'll continue to work with our community to start the healing process for the tragic events that occurred last night.
Was the driver arrested?
Currently, it remains under investigation. There are no charges pending at this time.
Did the driver stop?
The driver did stop.
Talia, she was 16?
That's correct.
And at Needham High School?
Yes.
And the other female, was she a student at Needham High School?
Yes.
And did you say her name?
No.
We do not. We're not releasing that name at this time.
Age?
Same age.
Same age, I believe 16.
There was some speculation that, or some talk that police were checking the brakes on the car.
Well, any kind of a homicide investigation, the state police has one of the top reconstruction units, obviously, in the country, and so both of the chiefs have had the opportunity to use them. So they will look at every aspect of the investigation, from mechanical defect to road conditions, lighting, all the things you would expect to look into. Not to suggest that is a cause, but just generally they will look at all that. So as to what is happening, it takes them a while to process that. They have to look at whether it downloads the cars. It's complicated, and so they're looking at all aspects of it. And sometimes they even do a reconstruction right at the scene. So all I say is we have no arrests have been made. It's an open, active case, and determinations will be made sometime in the near future as to whether or not there'll be charges or not.
Do we know if the girls were walking on the sidewalk, in the street, in a crosswalk?
You really want to?
Obviously, at this time, the investigation's in its early stages. We're going to rely on the State Police Accident Reconstruction Team and their cooperation with the District Attorney's Office and the Needham Police to determine what actually happened. And as soon as we do get that information, we'll make that available. Again, I do want to, give out our thoughts and prayers to the victims' families. And I also want to mention the great work that was done by the Needham Police, Needham Fire, State Police. They did such a professional job under trying and difficult circumstances.
Yeah, Chief, I was going to ask you, how are they dealing with this? 2 incidents so tragic, so close to each other.
I think when we deal with anybody that's in such a tragic incident, we're people too, we have emotions, and I know they're heartbroken. It's tough, and I think we'll have grief counselors for our officers too, and it was difficult for all involved.
And from the district attorney's office is a very competent, capable department as well. Working Millis is a smaller department, very, very good detectives, and so it's hard all the way around when you see tragic incidents like this, and that's true throughout the county as well. Yesterday, just a bad series of events.
Chief, do you know, with the rain and the leftover snow, it was starting to get a little foggy last night. Was weather a factor at all?
Again, the investigation will determine all of that, and that's why they're bringing the experts in. So one last question.
How old was the driver?
I'm not going to. All I will say to you is that they're looking at more than one driver. That's all I have to say in the matter. It's a complicated set of circumstances that they have to translate to try to figure out exactly what happened.
But there was only one car involved?
I have no further comment
What was
on
the
that.
type of car?
No comment.
Do you know that the girls were coming from an event at the school or something like that?
I know as part of the investigation, they're talking to friends and other people who may have been in the area at the time, so that information is being gathered.
It happened near the high school though, right?
It did, yes.
Chief, I saw enforcement out there today. Is that a persistent problem area for traffic?
Well, it's a school area.
We have school kids.
We have school kids in there, so it's an area that we do enforcement around all of our schools.
You have councils there today as well.
At the high school, we have grief counselors.
So it's probably all related to the fact that we anticipate that there may be more traffic into the high school area today.
On the homicide, can you just say where you found the young woman and if there was any signs of a struggle?
That will come out, I'm sure, at the time of arraignment, and they're still working on that. So other than to say that she was found in an area of the apartment, I have no other comment.
Did anyone else live in that apartment with them?
The apartment building had multiple apartments, so.
In their unit, though, as a roommate?
Again, not that I am aware of.
And any criminal record with Mr. Walsh?
I wouldn't comment on that if I knew.
Restraining orders?
You've heard from the two police officers as far as that they've had no police involvement, so I can't specifically answer that question, but that's really all I have to say. Thank you all very much.
Will there be any more updates today at all?
I hope so. I can't promise you that.
No pressers though?
If we're able to identify individuals, more information on either of the events, and including the Millis event, we will try to do that. But I anticipate we're probably trying to move towards hopefully an arraignment tomorrow on the Millis incident. And as we also, if we have further charges, which I anticipate out of the Needham event, there's going to be some logistics of moving the defendant from one court to another as well. So it may require same day, maybe a different day, and the investigation may take longer than I anticipate, and it could be a day or two before that resolves itself. So all I will tell you is we'll try to give as much notice as we can, but I anticipate that something in Rentham tomorrow would be a pretty good bet at this time. But again, a lot of this stuff is out of my hands too. The clerk trying to work it out and making this happen. What time? So sometimes, as much as I like to tell you, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, that's well beyond me. It'd be up to how things work out with the court. So as soon as I have the information, you will have the information.
Did anyone in the apartment building report anything to Needham police last night? Or?
Again, that would be obviously part of the ongoing investigation. They're interviewing everybody. You would expect they would. So neighbors and local residents are all being talked to. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.